Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to today's episode of Culture Shock, where we are going to be talking about Peru with our guest, Josue.
Josue. So
Yep.
Josue, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm from Peru, and yeah, like basically all my life I've been there till I was 17, and then yeah, I like moved to the US.
So what city exactly are you from?
I am from Lima, so Lima is the capital of Peru,
Capital of Peru. We see Lima right here.
right
So
there.
so where would be the center of Lima? Because normally the center is always here. Let me put.
You can also search the I mean, you got it right on spot. Like I was going to tell you like to search like this specific location, but
Mhm.
you got it right. So there's no need to say that anymore. But yeah, so yeah, it's pretty good actually. I mean, that's the center of Lima itself.
Uh-huh.
It's lots of not tourism, but lots of people that like really like to spend time there with families and friends and you know
S-
that stuff.
So this is like the center. I mean, is there are we around like an important area? What's in this place? Is it like?
Well, the first image that showed up, like
Uh huh.
right there,
Yeah.
was like a bank. BCP
Uh huh.
is like bicontinental. I don't know, like I don't remember, but yeah.
Pretty interesting. We can see that these buildings here look very old, like very European style. Is there a mixture of modern and old? Like are these like colonial buildings? What's up with what is up with this?
So the thing with this part of Lima,
Hmm.
this location is that yes, it does resembles like this image of European style,
Hmm.
like the architecture, right? Because Spanish people when we got conquered, they used to be here, live
Hmm.
here too. They actually built this buildings.
Hmm.
Forgive the redundancy. So, but the thing is that kind of like the government kept this style. So,
Hmm.
I mean, obviously they like retouched it or like kind of like preserved it,
Hmm.
but some things never change, So yeah, this part of Lima is
Hmm.
very like the Peru or the government itself wants to preserve this style at least in this part. That's funny.
Okay, nice. So seems like a touristic area where people. I mean, there's a commerce around here, and yeah, your typical vandalism that we see, old colonial buildings. But yeah,
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
How do kids spend their time in Lima? Like kids and teens, outside of school?
From my perspective at least,
Hmm.
average kids in Lima, they would go out with friends, to the movies, to grab something to eat,
Hmm.
drink, even like going to the park to
Hmm.
ride their bikes and that stuff. So it's I don't know, it's not pretty something unique, or special, but I believe it's pretty normal thing that a kid would do in Lima or in any place at all.
Now, how about things like malls or like recreational stuff or after
Oh
school
yeah.
sports?
So well, if we talk about malls, so there's like this. I believe it's like the biggest mall at least in Lima, even in Peru, I'd say. It's called Jockey Plaza. So this is like one of the biggest malls like there is in Lima, or even in Peru itself.
Really?
So Santiago de Surco is like the
Uh
district,
huh.
like the city. It's a very, I'm not gonna say like a rich area, but
Hmm.
it's high class area. I don't know. I mean, it's not that like that important, but yeah, it's like usually people that are, you get the idea.
I really like this mall.
Yeah, wow.
You guys have Fruit Loops
Like,
and you guys have Fruit Loops and tricks in
yeah, we
here.
do. Yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that we do have from the states, the Fruit Loops, sucaritas. I don't know if that's like lots of stuff. Not everything, but lots of stuff
We do.
from the US. Yeah.
Is there like a noticeable American influence in Peru at all?
I'm not pretty sure. I mean, I don't really know if there is because I haven't compared to to other countries, but it's pretty influenced. I mean, like for example, even the radio stations are like American pop music and that stuff, and so I'd say like yeah, because even like in other countries, for example, like Felipe said, they don't have the Fruit Loops or even KFC in, for example, in Uruguay. but we do have like all of that.
Is this the kind of place you'd take a date or something like that?
Yeah, like it's like not the best day probably, but it's very wholesome, I guess. I don't know. It's like
Okay.
Do you show us like what would be considered like a middle class neighborhood?
probably you would go to La Molina.
So La
I guess like
Molina.
it's like yeah, it's average. Like it's not like rich or poor. It's normal. I don't know. Yeah, it's La Molina district, so it's like the borderline of La Molina. But if you go, no, I mean,
This
wait,
is middle
hold up,
class?
because wait,
Wow.
no, I was about let me explain because there's like some parts of La Molina like that one, like we're looking at it right now.
Is this middle
That is
class really?
like rich people. No, that's not middle class. That's like high.
So
Like,
interesting. This is interesting here. Oh, Ben, what's your take on this place? What do you think?
I mean, it definitely looks pretty like a wealthy neighborhood. I mean, you have like a lot of typical stuff of like Latin America with the gates, but it's all like obviously much more high level, I guess.
Mhm.
These gates here, does that mean that that there is a lot of crime? Could you explain a little bit of that?
So, like, what the question is, why like these houses have gates?
Yeah, like is it because of crime?
Yes. For example, I think like this part where we are right now is very private. You go through gates. Yeah, usually it's because of crime.
Like this one?
Yeah, like that one, for
Like
example.
what is up with
So,
this?
for example, like those kind of gates, they are not set up by the government. It's like the neighborhood itself, like for example, got together and like this and decided we better have a gate, a spot where crime always takes place, and we can gather some money and build some like a gate like right there, for example. So basically, those gates are placed by the neighborhood instead of like by the government.
Wow.
Okay. I guess like looking at this, it's like I guess like in a lot of countries you kind of have like a stark division between like wealthy neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods and middle class and whatever. Is there like a large how's like the socioeconomic situation in Peru? Like is there a large wealth gap, or do most people have what they need to survive?
Like for example, people that don't have much resources or many resources, they are not homeless. Actually, they don't live on the streets and go wander. They actually build their houses on the hills, not the mountains, but on the hills. Some hills are just packed up with houses, and they are usually built by these kind of people. For example, like the poor people, like yeah, you got it right, like that one.
Okay. Now in those like invasiones, I have like those are mostly like not illegal, but just not recognized areas. I
What is
assume.
this
Yeah, kind of
Yes.
like favelas in Brazil.
These people basically they could be homeless. I mean, if for example, if these hills or those hills were to be like taken by the government, and there wouldn't be any house at all, and these people would be homeless and they would be wandering on the streets and the stuff. But it's I think it's kind of illegal, but the government doesn't really even care about it. Like basically they say, oh, it's fine, they better have houses on the hills than be homeless. So it's basically about poverty.
This does not look safe. Do occasional landslides happen? Do people die a lot? If a landslide happens here, if there's ever rain, this whole thing can go down. It doesn't look stable to me, at least.
Yeah, it is true. But the thing with Lima is that it doesn't rain a lot. I mean, it does rain, but the rain is very it's a light rain. It's so light that it doesn't really even like have an impact or anything. But in some places like Chosica, if I'm not mistaken, it rains a little bit more, both like more intense, like more intense and more frequent. And usually around that place in Chosica, for example, there are landslides.
Could you show us where the place is?
I don't remember at all, but Chosica is like it's not a highland, but kind of resembles like
how to spell
highlands.
Chosica? Is it like that?
With S.
So
this is where.
Oh. Oh my gosh. I think we just.
Wow.
I think we were just in Peru, and this is more
Afghanistan.
Oh my god.
This is a little
like,
yeah.
yeah, I know, but you guys, like there are some parts of Chosica like it's not like this. Chosica is like usually very green and very rural in a way, but as you can see, there are like these are there are hills all around the place and mountains as well. And yeah, like if there's an actual intense rain, it's a thing that is very uncommon to happen, but can happen. That's the thing. Yeah, usually there will be landslides there.
Okay. Now, like, honestly, looking at this, there's clearly like a ton. It's not really like the safest area, and it doesn't have a lot of infrastructure or anything. Is there like a
Mhm.
lot of government interference in these areas? Like, does the government try to ever dismantle them or help people move out, or like,
I mean, some
or do they
people
kind of just like leave it alone?
some people build nice houses too. I mean, they,
Yeah, I mean, for example, that house is pretty nice, but like going off what Ben was asking,
uh-huh.
so the thing is that I think like the government obviously is aware about this issue, but and they even, for example, as you can see right there, well, not anymore, but there's like a headlights and cables, like electricity cables
Yeah,
around the place, water system supply and stuff. So, and these are made by the government. These like are provided by the government. But I think like the stance of the government on this is pretty much I give you what you need and you'll get by, like I give you
Okay.
like utilities and you'll get through, like something like that.
Okay.
So
So the
like
government doesn't. Oh, continue.
yeah, I mean yeah, basically like you said, it does like it helps kind of, but it helps you enough, quote unquote, enough to let you live like a normal quote unquote life, so to
Okay.
speak.
So like I know I know Felipe has mentioned to me a few times that in like Brazil, a lot of times the government like will try to provide housing to people in these areas to try to get them out. Is there any sort of like public
Um,
housing option that the government offers, or is it they kind of just like leave them to themselves?
I think it's just yeah they live them by themselves because these houses like are 100% made by by the people that just got there and happened to have this idea, hey, let's build a house here right here and we might as well because otherwise we will die, something like that. So I haven't actually seen any houses for old people, but I haven't like actually heard or seen anything like it, now that I think of it.
Tell us a little bit about crime. If there's crime, is cartels and drug stuff is there? Wait, what?
What happened right there?
I was in a bad area, and now I'm like a
Yeah,
nice area.
so
What did just happen? I
wait,
was,
so
I was,
yeah, so heads up, like this.
I feel like
I
I
remember
entered in a
just
portal. What is this?
it's funny because there is something called El Muro de la Vergüenza. Like literally, we call it that way. I don't know why, but it's like the wall of shame. That is like it's a big wall. No, it's not a big wall, but it's a large wall. That I don't know where is it, but it literally divides like a whole district.
Uh-huh.
A poor like divides into poor district, and then the other side of the wall is very rich like city, and it's actually and it's funny because I don't know why we call it the wall of shame, but literally you go to the other side of the wall and it's a whole different story. It's so crazy. I don't even know why would we have that, but again, I'm pretty sure that people build that wall, not the government.
Tell us a little bit about like kind of the diversity in Peru because I know there's like a
Oh.
massive Japanese community and like things like that.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So I don't remember much of this in the history, at least in Peru, but basically what happened is like many Asians from obviously Asia, from China and Japan, and I don't think Korea, but basically these two countries they migrated to Peru because they're very close. You just go through the Pacific and yeah, they'll get to Peru. But I don't know why, but basically what Peru did is that we took them as slaves, so they work for us and kind of like going off that story, and that's why we have mix, so to speak, of culture, because for example, even our food is very Asian influenced. For
Really?
example, like yeah, lomo saltado and arroz chaufa. These two plates or dishes are very Asian influenced because I don't know. It's just it's you have to try them out to understand.
Okay. Would you say that this is kind of like a mirror of Peruvian culture where it's like also very mixed? Like
Like not all of it, but many. Basically, like this Asian culture is reflected on the food.
okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess the rest of Peruvian culture, is it like more indigenous, more Spanish, more like a mixture, mestizo? Like How would you describe it?
So the thing is, like, one way we show our culture is through food. That's my take in this. So like I think about different kind of dishes and especially meals we have, and we have indigenous meals, for example, dishes, and Japanese dishes, and I think European influenced dishes too. So I believe that that's one way we show our culture to the world, at least, is through the food. It's funny though.